Hey, how you doing? It's Clayton Tini from the First Home Buyer Club. 100 lessons in 100 days. Day 54, lesson 54. Today, what I want to talk about is, do you respect or disrespect money? Now, this is a lead up from or follow up from sorry, follow up from my session yesterday in regards to how much do you need in super, and have you actually sat down yet and planned through what you actually require? There's obviously a lot of things. Sorry, my computer's just messed up here. My bad, I'm back. The whole screen went black. Things started coming up, and I was a little bit lost there. So, as I was saying, the follow up from the other day is there a reason why we're not more planning for what we need in life and how to get there? And you know what? I thought about it, and I was reminded of the other day as I noticed a young group of kids at a coffee shop when I was there meeting a client that were going out for breakfast. And I thought back to myself from when I was 16 and 17, and I can never remember myself going out for breakfast before school just for the sake of it. And I started to think to myself when I was there, are we teaching our children the right or wrong habits growing up? Because I think to myself, they would have gone out, probably paid, I don't know, $15, $20 for their breakfasts and coffees, just to have something to eat before they went to school. And if they're having breakfast before they go to school, what else are they buying during the day? And it's not to say, hey, you can never spend money, but spend money where it counts. And, it brings back to the point, unfortunately, there's, a massive group of Australians, and, the average is 9 out of 10 that aren't in a position financially to retire comfortably. And I think to myself, where's that stopping, right? So, as a kid, the only advice I remember about finances growing up was money doesn't grow on trees. And, I look back and I'm like, well, that really doesn't help us as we grow up. And whilst, I was never poor as a kid, I never had any luxuries. I never got to enjoy the good things in life, going on the snow trips as a kid and really being lavish, spending all the money and the enjoyment that comes with some lifestyles. And so what I noticed for me personally during my 20s was that I wanted it all. And, I bought the car, I bought the house, which was lucky. And I'll admit the only reason I bought my first property at 20 was because my mum put her foot down when I got back from East Timor when I was in the army and said, you are buying a house. Or I could have been like some of my mates that bought the brand new HSV Commodores, went overseas on the big trips, and have the best surround sounds on base. But then I think to myself, I'm like, especially now as I get a bit older, I really start to worry about, am I doing the right thing with my own money? And it's very easy, especially during COVID, that I was buying coffees every day, sometimes 2 or 3 because they were close by. They gave me that fix, that little bit of enjoyment when I bought them. And it was handy, right? It was easy. It was just down from just downstairs from my office or just around the corner from my house. But I soon found out that within a couple of weeks, I'd spent a lot of money on coffee, and I created those habits. And whilst they weren't good habits, they were still a habit. So I think to myself, do we, and what I noticed, especially at the start of COVID, was I wasn't respecting my own money. It's only $5. It's only $12.50. And suddenly the money and the bills start to really pile up. So the question I've got to ask you today is, do you respect or disrespect money? Are you planning for your future or just living in the moment? They're things that I want you to think about over the weekend. And more importantly, I want you to try and think, especially if you've got kids, how can I pass on the right habits to my kids so that they've got the skills and the training as they grow up to make the decisions they should be? And you know what? I always talk about it. I'm not Scrooge McDuck because I never want you to spend money. I'm Scrooge McDuck because I want you to have more money to make more choices in your life. And, we have 5, 10 coffees every week. That money suddenly goes. And that's taking away money that you can use somewhere else to allow yourself to have more choices. Now, when it comes to property, and everyone knows I love property, there are always other costs associated with owning property. You've got the house itself and the mortgage repayments. You've got the rates, you've got the water, you've got the insurance. And if you buy an old home, then you've got to allow for repairs down the track as well. Now, am I trying to talk you out of buying property? No, I'm just trying to get you to be aware of the costs that are associated when you do buy a property. Because here's the thing, sometimes we'll want to get the best house in the best suburb, and it could cost 2 or 3 or maybe even 400,000 more than what you should be buying, right? And as a result of that, you're losing another $300, $400, $500 a week in mortgage repayments. And whilst you're living life, you're not struggling. You don't have the surplus cash that you may have had. Now, this works on 2 factors you really need to consider. One, everyone goes, well, I'm buying in the best area because it's going to have the biggest capital growth, which is true. The better areas generally will get the better growth. The other thing you need to consider is 1, your lifestyle, and 2, the extra payments you can make towards your mortgage purely by having that slightly cheaper house. And when I say slightly cheaper house, what it tends to be is if you look 1 or 2 suburbs from when you're currently looking right now, and generally we look in the suburb where we live, and just that little small pin drop around where we live, and that's where we look for our own home. Now, if you move out slightly, the thing is you could be saving yourself $50,000 or $100,000 just in the purchase, just by moving another 10 minutes. Now, when you start to crunch these numbers and have this surplus cash, it will give you 2 things. Obviously, extra cash to spend and live life. And the second thing is, if you want to reinvest that back in your house and start paying off the mortgage faster, it allows you to be mortgage free earlier, which then gives you more options in life, right? So really what I want you to think about over the weekend is, do you have a plan for your future? Property, retirement, your lifestyle you want to live. What is your plan? And start figuring out what you need to get there. All right, guys, hope you have a good weekend. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.